Afterlife. When people talk about death, it's always about one of two things: pearly white gates or eternal damnation. For millions of people, those are the only options, and they fight tooth and nail in order to make it to the former. But what happens if you die and arrive at nothing? That's the question I ask myself as I lay in the hospital bed after hospital bed, watching doctors tell my parents over and over again that there's nothing they can do. They wouldn't take that as an answer. It only got worse as the days passed. I could see through the mask my parents had painted on haphazardly. There was no hiding the baggy and dark under eyes, coffee breath, and dissociation that I witnessed daily. Yet, they journeyed on, pulling me along with them. There were many times when I wanted them to stop, to carry on without me. But when I looked into those brown and blue eyes, the words wouldn't come. They'd given up everything for me, their dreams, money, and time to save me. Their whole life was me, even if they couldn't say that out loud. Everything was fine, I guess, up until a week ago. I opened my eyes to my room, which my parents had taken the liberty of decorating when they knew I couldn't. It was dim, with the lights they strung being the only source of light. I looked to my right, eyeing the photo frame on the nightstand. My parents and I, years before I got sick. I couldn't cry out of fear and sadness or yell out in frustration. I just stared, taking in the entirety of the photo. My dad had full, thick black hair, which opposed his now thinning, graying hair. My mother, once known for her graceful aging, had begun to wrinkle, her skin growing drier and drier from the hospital air. Whether it was just time or stress that had come from this, I'll never know. Finally, there was me. I had hair just like my dad's, but more curly thanks to my mom's. He used to say that I was stealing his follicles. My skin was tan, not just from my heritage, but from being outside all day. Hiking was my hobby. No, my passion. Ever since my mother took me on my first, I'd been obsessed with them, cataloging everything we'd seen. My own skin paled in comparison to the tan. It was barely even beige. I looked back through the glass, spotting my parents and the new doctor they pleaded with to take care of me. I didn't have to hear it to understand what she was saying. My mother fell into my father's arms. He was barely able to keep himself standing, let alone her. They cleaned themselves up the best they could before walking in, smiles plastered on their faces. They didn't think I noticed, but I always did. They told me the news I'd heard 1,000 times before, and as they gave me the big speech on not giving up, I realized that this was it. There was nothing left for me. Even if they weren't ready, I was. With the little strength I had, I shook my head. No. Their face contorted into a look I couldn't exactly pinpoint, but I assume it was a mix of confusion and worry. Their pleas and cries hurt, but not more than the pain I was in. I couldn't take it anymore. I looked around one last time, trying to picture home, my room. It was still colored pink, the color I chose at the ripe age of 5, minus one teal wall because I thought pink was too girly. My bed, with the strawberry printed sheets I'd gotten for Christmas years ago. They were still my favorite. My eyes closed, and suddenly, I could see the memories play out. My first tooth falling out, the sleepovers I'd make my parents have with me when thunderstorms came around, the time I broke my arm while trying to climb the large oak tree in the backyard. I smiled, for the first time in what seemed like months, and my hearing became muffled, though I could still hear my parents. My breathing became slower, with brief, erratic intakes. I was scared. A tear flowed down my face, and without warning, everything became silent. There was no beeping from medical machines or 3 a.m. wake-up call for tests. There was nothing, and there still is nothing. I can't answer the question I'd been asking myself. I don't know what to do in nothingness.